America Meditating Radio Show, we collect wisdom, inspire each other, and empower hearts 24/7. Hi, I'm Sister Jenna. Join me and guest on Blog Talk Radio as we amplify stories that compel us to be more for ourselves and everyone else around us.
Blaylock Dialysis Center is a convenient state-of-the-art dialysis center in the Houston area, run by Dr. Panakin Patel. Relax in a comfortable environment while receiving quality care. Serving adults 18 to geriatrics, we are here to help you. Call 713-463-6611 for more information or visit us at our website at www.blaylockdialysiscenter.com. Blaylock Dialysis Center, where helping you get well is our priority.
The Meditation Museum in Silver Spring, Maryland offers a variety of courses and activities to make your life go a whole lot smoother. Located at 9525 Georgia Avenue, you will be able to experience the beautiful silence that's in the space. There are courses in Raja Yoga meditation, positive thinking, stress-free living, and personal development classes. For more information, call us at 301-588-0144 or visit us online at meditationmuseum.org.
Get off the grid and step inside your heart. Sister Jenna guides you through a powerful, encouraging, and motivating meditation that allows you to let go and become aware of you, regain strength, power, and peace.
I'm Roger Nelson. I'm the founder and director of the Global Consciousness Project, and you are listening to America Meditating Radio Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to America Meditating Radio. I'm your host, Sister Jenna. We're broadcasting from the beautiful Meditation Museum in the nation's capital. Well, the energy, I think, is shifting. I think I'm not sure. But we did hold an incredible event at Unity of Washington, D.C. on healing and reconciliation. Some people said to us, it's too early and we're not ready to reconcile anything. And I go, I get that. No one's going to rush anyone's healing process. There's no date fixed for healing. I think it has a lot to do with just where you are, but yet we were just creating a container that you could come into and feel held and secured. And if you'd like to get a chance to view the conversation at Unity, please go to America Meditating Facebook page and enjoy the 2 hours in which we really did offer respect and value to both sides of the fence. We made sure that we offered each person a time to air their thoughts and feelings and to lift them up. Various, speakers from various backgrounds and leaders from our country, from even Ben Carson, who's a part of the transition team for the Republican Party, gave a message to everyone that we must come together, that we must be able to, find some common ground. And I think for some of our citizens who took many of the comments that were shared during the campaign trail very, very literally, and I tell you, I was one of them where I cringed to just witness, someone using such a global platform to speak like that, even if it was just marketing something to, the public or to particular customers at be. Still have to tell you that it did affect my fiber because it wasn't the kind of languaging that I think was required, but it's a business. It's a business, and I'm so concerned about the folks in certain parts of America that might have felt like they were used or they were taken for granted, their intelligence. And I'm just asking everyone in the country to just keep calm. No matter how this unfolds as we get to Inauguration Day, keep calm. It's in the astrological readings. My friend Diana Collins wrote a very nice article on HuffPost on what to expect astrologically, and also our very good Vedic astrologer, Joni Patri. If you go to her YouTube, you'll get some very unique readings. It's a time for change. India's Prime Minister just declared in one day that your 500 rupee note and your 1,000 rupee note wouldn't be of any use anymore because he wants to end corruption in the country. A lot of people are buying and selling money that is not legal, and so he felt that by discontinuing the use of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes, that would definitely curtail corruption. But corruption is in your mind. It's not just in your pocket. He might get a bigger thing on his hands now. So what are we doing to end the internal corruption, the internal desire for greed, the internal desire for power and to be attached to images and titles that you think feed your limited self? And you don't care what the mass number of people who perhaps are just innocent. They haven't educated themselves enough. They haven't left their cities, their towns. Their interpretation of the world is on a television screen, and that's the way that they viewed things. I have to tell you, I would say that my father was similar to that. I remember that when I would go to visit him at home, he would sit there and still be watching, what were these black and white shows, the Andy Griffith Show, which are really clean shows because he loved those shows. Leave It to Beaver, Mr. Ed, remember those? So those were the shows that I would just go home and watch him sitting on his couch, and that was what he liked. He would go to work. He had retired. Let me tell you the story. Born in Jamaica, we're all migrated. There was a question mark if a certain prime minister was going to bring Cuba and create a communist Jamaica. So a lot of the people who were in business and who were financially doing well decided to migrate and leave Jamaica and come here. That was my family. So they lived off of that, and then, they get bored. They opened up their own business. My dad went working. He didn't want to stay home not doing anything. He ended up working at some business of some industrial site, and then he worked there until he retired. He was sick, and you would go home after work, and he would just sit at home, watch TV, eat, watch TV. Sisters would come over when he retired. Wake up, have breakfast, watch TV. Sisters would come over. They're watching TV together. That's just how they're fed. That's just what they know. And so even when I would speak to him about things or issues that were very passionate to me, he would get extremely like, no, this person is the worst and this president is the worst and he's this and he's a jerk. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? How can I argue with someone who hasn't even been outside of his city? Come on. Om Shanti to that. So I want you to hold the line because we've got an incredible speaker about to engage more in deeper conversation. Robin-sol-lieberman is going to be talking to us about how we heal but how we also create unity. And what is charisma? A lot of people talk about charisma. My great-great-grandfather had a lot of charisma, so much charisma that 300 families left their homes to come and live with him. Talk about charisma? I know what charisma looks like. Go visit my great-great-grandfather. So just hold on for me 1 second, and we're going to play our meditation for you. Let's go to Productive from my Off to Work meditation CD, and then we're going to get Robin on the air. So take a deep breath, and let's find the spirit to be productive. All right. Each day, I wish for the days to be productive. So today, it will be productive because it is productive. With the practice of meditation and me taking moments every hour to calm the self and improve my ability to concentrate on what's important. This allows me to be more productive instead of working frantically to get things done. Today, I focus, and today, I produce. Welcome back. So I am here to be productive. I'm not here to take or drain a system, but I'm here to contribute to a system so that the system works for all. Well, let me take this time to introduce our very special guest today on the air. Robin-sol-Lieberman is a cultural anthropologist, communications consultant, and author of the Charisma Code, Communicating in a Language Beyond Words. She speaks to a wide demographic from prisoners to the United Nations, helping both individuals and entire organizations communicate more effectively. During this emotionally heightened political season, Robin has been a regular TV and radio guest expert on Fox, CW, and Sirius. And today, we're very touched to welcome Robin to the air. Hi, Robin.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be with you, Sister Jenna. What a soothing, calming voice, and what an incredible program you have here. It's really an honor to be part of it.
Oh, thank you for joining us. You know, just recently I was part of a very magnificent team of folks working with the Shift Network to create a day of healing and reconciliation. And our country and our people have been going through a lot. Actually, even today, we held a global meeting with over 40 countries. And what we were even expecting in the meeting, which was a global meeting, there were so many changes and things were just not what we were used to. And I walked into our dining area and I said to the staff, I said, wow, so many of the things that I love are being taken away from me. And my love is one factor, but I'm also attached to some of these stories or some of these things. In other words, the America that I know, the quality of leadership that I so resonate with, which is transparency, honesty, kindness, gentleness, peacefulness, nonviolent qualities. So a lot of these things are being thrown up in the air at us, and there's only one place I can go now is inwards, which I live from, but it's even more of a deeper sound is that, yes, everything that you have been living for and looking for outside of you anyway is in you. And I know that what we're going through as a country and as a world right now, it's not just America, it's London, it's India, it's Japan, it's everywhere that people are really being forced to turn inside. I would love to hear your thoughts on maybe a prescription that you might be walking around with that could help us to sort out what we're going through and to bring about more unity inside of ourselves, but also inside of our country.
Yes, thank Thank you. In my book, The Charisma Code, Communicating in a Language Beyond Words, I put together a prescription that I call a global language, and it really came from my work as a cultural anthropologist and spending time in countries and with groups of people that were very different than myself. And when we look at America right now, we see this intense polarization that has occurred through the last numerous months of preparing for what we all went through last week, which was the awarding of our next leadership in the White House. And I've been using now this charisma code, this code that I built as a means to connect with people in other cultures as a cultural anthropologist. I'm now looking at it in our country. What can we do? Can we each individually employ this prescription you so artfully spoke as a means of finding connection with each other across the divide of Republicans, Democrats, and even more so now, I think it's less those two words and more it's the divide between those who voted for Trump and those who voted for Clinton, or those who did not vote and want a Bernie Sanders. It's this great divide of identity that has become to exist today around who we voted for. And I think that it has the opportunity to either bring us together, as I know you're doing in your work, Sister Jenna, and at the meditation museums, or it has the opportunity to separate us even further in, I'm a Trump supporter, no, I'm a Clinton supporter, no. And so this prescription is a 3-step formula, and the first step of the charisma code is to know your value. And this means regardless of who any of us voted for, knowing that I still hold the same longings for my country, for the world, for my family as I did before the election results came in. I still hold those same emotions around what I care most about. And then the second step of the charisma code is to show your value, which is this is not a time to sit back. This is a time, if you're jubilant about the results of the election, this is the time to take action on those jubilant results and join the new leadership we have in the White House and seeing that. If you are absolutely repulsed, disgusted, angry, sad, terrified, this is the time to do as Gandhi said as well, be the change we want to see in the world. This is that moment to get off the sidelines and join a movement. This is the second step of the charisma code, show your value. And finally, the third step of this prescription that I continue to be consider to be a peace prescription, Sister Jenna, is to see others' value. And this see others' value, I think, is the hardest step. I think that as humans, we're all really good for the most part. It's potentially easier for us, even our tribal biological mentality, to know our value and show our value. You know, we hang out with people who think like us. We can join a movement with people who think like us. Great, okay, join your protest, join your peace meditation, whatever that. I think that's actually pretty easy for us. But when it comes to seeing others' value across those divides, across the tribal mentality, that's the place that I'm committed to in my work. That's the place that I'm most fascinated in, and that I think you and I, after listening to a few of your shows here, are interested in exploring it and seeing what, if there is truly an answer for peace and unity. And I just want to quote Moshe Dayan. He was an Israeli general and politician, so Israel, Moshe Dayan. And he said, you know, if you want peace, don't talk to your friends. You talk to your enemy.
Absolutely. But I so believe that. Exactly. I love that. And this is the opportunity and the challenge that I think everyone is feeling, is that I think many of us are growing into understanding the fact that if we hold any bitterness or any animosity, that goes against me, right? That's one. I mean, I don't care where you are in your quiet moments, whether you are a fundamental Christian, Muslim, Jew, or an atheist, when you're in your own company by yourself and if you don't feel peaceful with your own company, there's a problem there. And so I remembered watching the campaigns and would look at just the body language and just the whole vibration of each candidate, because I look at more their souls and try to decode the vibration that they're emanating through their souls, which is to me a sum total of all the choices that they've made in their lives, that you just can't hide it. And I know that you've been on a number of media outlets, and you're discussing your book and the charisma types of these candidates. And when you look at President-elect Trump and Secretary Clinton and even our President Barack Obama, what would you call their charisma types? Do they have charisma?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody has a charisma type. All of our listeners can find out at truecharisma.com. There's a simple little 11-question quiz there, and feel free to please find out what our charisma types are. I'm sure that you, Sister Jenna, are a gold. That's shared with the Dalai Lama. This is the quality of ether or spirit. This is an individual who gives loving kindness. Michelle Obama has that. Even Bill Clinton showed an incredible gold charisma. Again, we're looking at the language beyond words. This is, and if I may pull back from your question for just a moment and share with our listeners what charisma, the etymological roots of charisma are. It actually originated in the Bible. The word charisma was coined by Paul, who previously was Saul and had an experience of being filled with what he called the holy grace of God. And he was full. Mm-hmm. He was shot with a lightning bolt from on high, is so how he explained it. And from that moment, he was no longer Saul. He became Paul, and he coined the word charisma by using the Greek colloquial at the time, charis, which means grace, gift, and ma, the act of. So it's literally the act. Charisma is the act of receiving and giving grace. So the charisma types each have a gift. That's how I've codified it, if you will, in my charisma code. There's a gift that each charisma type, be you a gold, a red, an orange, a blue, or a green, that you give in your relationships with others. I say, what's the use of charisma if not to relate with our fellows? What's the use of having a gift of grace if not to connect? So I call charisma literally, it's the currency of connection. You were mentioning earlier in the show about in India, the rupee, certain denominations of the rupee not being used because, right. So fine. So maybe our world is going through such a massive change right now politically. Maybe we see it in Europe. We see it in the Middle East. This is not obviously local to us Americans, although it's so personal. But this change of currency of what we value, and it goes back to our know your value, show your value, see others' value. If charisma is a relational tool that shows value and exchanges value the way we're able to see it with others, then maybe it really can support the global transformation that is occurring right now. And so as far as, which candidate uses which gifts or which charismatic gifts.
So tell me about Donald Trump. What's his gift?
Donald Trump, he is an orange. He is shared by Einstein. So this is an air, the quality of air, if you're familiar with the fire, air, earth, water, ether, sort of Chinese medicine or alchemical medicine. Donald Trump, it's creative, it's innovative. He was so able and continues to be to go against the establishments of media, of politics. He has broken down ideologies, just like an Einstein, in order to bring about a new way. Now, I think I have most of my friends, as I heard you also mention in one of your programs, voted for Clinton. I am in that world mostly. However, I have a few friends who voted for Trump. And I love where they're coming from. They see him as a stress test, like you would give a house if there were termites in it. He's a stress test by pushing these strange, innovative, unpredictable gifts to us through his charisma. He's stress testing our America's house before it's too late. That's what they think, and I love the positive slant of that. So that's Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton,
green. So she's of earth. This is the supportive charisma type. And, we each have, and actually I say this is shared by Oprah, as each of these have a celebrity. Just because if you look at Oprah, you look at Hillary Clinton, or you listen to them, the policy even, it's about supporting and empowering others to shine. So it's that supportive, deep earth. That's the tonality of it. And there can be, if not blended with other charisma types, like, say, gold, which is what I kept wanting to see more of from Hillary Clinton when she was in the public eye, is if it doesn't have that soft heartness, that Michelle Obama, the ability to really feel what they're saying, then a green type could come across as a little cold and steely, and we don't believe them. And I think we ran into that looking at Hillary Clinton's unfavorability ratings during a lot of the election run.
Yet she got the popular vote. Isn't that funny?
Well, I mean, I think that speaks directly to the fact of who America's soul is. I think our soul aches for the policy of inclusion politics versus exclusion politics. And as you've said, in many ways, politics has become and is a business. And so the rhetoric that we heard was speaking to separatism and exclusion politics in terms of the Trump campaign for the most part. And I think that the reason that Clinton won the popular vote is because she spoke to more people.
Right. Well, here, nowadays we're really being, as you said, tested. I think everyone, whether you voted for Trump or not. It's a great time, actually. I think it's an awesome time because even things that we didn't realize was sitting in our subconscious is also surfacing because there are a lot of pieces here that are coming to surface. And in your book, Charisma Code, Communicating in a Language Beyond Words, I'd love if you could share how can charisma, for example, which I think President Obama and Bill Clinton have so much of it so naturally, how can charisma be a force for building bridges between people? And yet both of these presidents, Bill Clinton and President Obama, had a great amount of difficulty with the Republican Party to move policies and stories forward. How come their charisma couldn't work with the Republican Party back in the day? Like, what was that? What was lacking, if anything?
I think it's not in the candidates as much as it is in the American people. And the reason I say that is it goes back to the tribal mentality of identifying as a party versus being swayed by much of your work and my work, which is this language beyond words, the vibration. It all comes down to transparency and trust and our ability to be receptive to what's coming at us from another individual in front of us or on our television set. I've met President Clinton. I've spent a bit of time with him. I've not met Obama personally. I don't know these individuals. I don't know the day-to-day choices they make. They have charisma, that's true. They swayed enough people to get high leadership to be president of the United States. And yet, simultaneously, I think that we're at an era and an age, especially as we enter into global citizenship via being connected on the internet, being connected by airplanes, where it's going to be pertinent for us to be able to read people transparently in their honest language beyond words, through their hearts, through their vibrations, through who they truly are as global leaders. If they don't even speak our same language, we're going to need to develop as people the ability to be able to truly read others that are very different than ourselves and make our decisions and our votes based upon that.
Now, how healthy is charisma? Because some of us might use it as a very manipulative tool to get what you want just for yourself versus somebody who might not have a lot of charisma and just tells you like it is, and it's just like they're very transparent and they're very open. It can be used. Charisma can be used as a tool to sort of sway people. Is that healthy?
I think I would love to see every single human being that was ever born have the ability to access their charisma for one reason and one reason alone. It helps us all amplify our communication capacities. It helps us engage others. So charisma doesn't tell you what to do with the gift, but it does certainly improve everybody's ability to communicate. And my belief is that it's not just reserved for the special people. It's not just reserved for the politicians or the celebrities. But my work in the world is to empower prisoners, to empower ex-offenders, to empower refugees, to empower business people, to empower you and me, how to amplify their communication capacities with their charisma. So as far as the fear of can someone manipulate me, the more we amplify our own abilities to communicate and be transparent, because I don't believe that transparency is the opposite of charisma. I believe that it is inherent to true charisma. So I'm not fearful so much as I am excited as seeing charisma as a human potential tool, I guess, and that as we have it in ourselves, the more we don't get fooled by others. There's no longer the leaders versus the small people. Everybody then has the capacity to lead what's truly in their heart.
I just did my charisma test while I was talking with you. I'm a multitasker.
How amazing are you?
I know, I was a multitasker, and I have to tell you, everyone, she was right. I was a gold. And as I'm reading it, it's such a cool little test, everyone, and it's on her website, robin-sol-lieberman, and it asks you very interesting questions. And there were certain questions as you were talking, and I was going to pop into the conversation and go, these are hard questions, because I could see myself in all of these. And I think that, this whole ability of trying to understand yourself requires a lot of internal silence. Speak to me about the practice of inner silence, because it seems to be a form of communication that many of us are not very comfortable with. And I'm not necessarily saying an absence of sound, but this presence, this vibration of like a saint walking in a room, not looking to get anything from you, but is just sharing jewels with everyone. What's this inner silence that I feel is our need to find clarity so we're not deceived by an incredibly amazing businessman who could sell a product that's so outdated to a bunch of people who seem to be left behind, historically, and for them to buy this product and really shift the gamut, even though it's all predestined to happen. I don't think if anyone could strategize to change it, it would not change. This is preordained. I deeply feel this is a written script. There's benefit in all of this. So I go back to my question.
Gosh, well, I'll go back to the first words I said on this show. Your voice, your ability, Sister Jenna, to bring us through your soothing way, through your commitment to creating programs and entire museums dedicated to this inner silence. It is not something I get to speak about much in my work with Fox and the CW and Sirius, even on POTUS. I am honored for the opportunity to answer this question from you, and because it is the song of my heart. As a very young woman, 20 years old, I started a Vipassana meditation practice where I would go for many, many days in silent retreats and continued that practice until today. But I have had periods, and to be quite frank, when I was writing my book, The Charisma Code, I have had periods where the life of the world that wants me and my desire to give my charismatic gift, whatever that is, my service, is so strong that I just, invitation, yes, invitation, yes, invitation, here I go. And I think that, as far as the change that I feel that I can most truly bring to this world, it's my own growth of learning to cultivate the silence in the moments of extreme stimulation, being bombarded at my sensitive little robin body. And so, I agree, and I think you said was it your uncle who had a whole family?
My grandfather, yeah.
Your grandfather.
Yeah.
That silence, that true charisma, how do we each cultivate it? I'll go back to the Charisma Code, the 3-step prescription of knowing your value, showing your value, and seeing others' value. And I believe that when those three are in full circular currency, that there is a gravity, a gravitas that calls the world to our own heart's calling, and it's silent. It's a language beyond words.
Love that. It's such a needed tool. I think many of us are underestimating it, but like I was talking to the staff this morning when I told them everything that I love and I'm so used to is being taken away from me. And I didn't mean that on a personal level. It's happening to all of us. I mean, whatever's going on in India, a prime minister declares the next day your 500 rupee note and your 1,000 rupee note is no longer useful in your country. So what do you do to those who've been saving up all that money, and then all the people that have been relying on that savings in their lives, and then having somebody use a global platform and emanate a kind of a narrative or a value system that so much of the world, cringes when they hear it, but then another small populace, another small group will just be like, yay, there's somebody there who still believes I exist. And just feeling like a lot of this Disney World consciousness that you sometimes live in is being taken away from you. And now you've got to strengthen up and know that even in your Disney movie, Simba did go to the dark side, but Simba did also come back and find, the freedom. So I feel like this is what it's doing. It's giving us this huge wake-up call, this magnificent wake-up call. And, you stress in your book that having charisma begins with confidence. And how can asking what if questions help us to recognize even our own capacity of greatness or goodness? Because a lot of people are scared of asking, what's good or what happens, what if.
You have had Dr. Andrew Newberg on your show before. I believe he's a friend of yours as well. That's correct? Yes, I love him. I actually write about him from his work in his book, How God Changes the Brain, as a neuroscientist, as somebody who studies neurotheology. Dr. Andrew Newberg, he talks about how through his studies of looking at people from candomblé, who practice candomblé, Christianity, who are practitioners of Sufism or Islam, whatever our religion or our spiritual slant may be, when we ask the big questions like, what is God? When we ask the big questions like, what banged the Big Bang? These are all questions that I ask in the Charisma Code because I want to get people's brains working towards what Dr. Andrew Newberg has discovered is when we ask these big questions, we not only become smarter, our ability to have more tolerance for others and to accept diversity, those on the other side of identity than maybe we share, Republicans versus Democrats, for example, the ability to be more sociable increases. So Dr. Andrew Newberg is saying, ask the big questions. In the Charisma Code, I'm specifically asking my readers to engage in the question, what if, and use it as a confidence builder, specifically because our neural pathways can so easily get solidified when we ask questions like, what if I'm not enough? Or what if the country goes to SHIT? Or what, we could spend our whole time asking what if questions that lead us towards having anything but confidence, or we can separate that neural pathway, rewire it to another way of working so that we're asking, what if I'm made of great stuff? What if this new change in our country leads to a better country than I can even imagine? And humanity, on a biological sense, we've just talked about the brain, now on a biological sense, when I was researching for the Charisma Code, I spent quite a lot of time with a woman named Dr. Tamsin Woolley-Barker, who works,
you actually remember that name?
She's one of my best friends on the planet. Come on, Woolley Barker. She's a biologist.
How could you forget
get
that?
Much better than that? Yeah. So anyway, Dr. Woolley Barker, I asked her, Dr. Woolley Barker, what do humans do better than any other species? Like, for example, a cactus is best at living in the desert, and an anteater is best at eating ants. What is it that humans do better than any other species? Just like I want to know what's great about us, And she says, well, we ask the question, what if? We are time travelers. We have the capacity. That's where religion comes from. The fancy word would be, we ask a question, what if the country's going to be better than it's ever going to be because of the new election? And then we reverse engineer an answer. So we literally look to the end outcome of what if the country is going to be better than whatever it's going to be, and we can all do that right now. What does that look like for us? What would it be like if the country was the best for us that we can possibly imagine? And then what can we each in our own individual lives do to reverse engineer that question and create it?
Right. It's good because it triggers you to, I think, always remember that you have two very finite responses to everything in life. So what if I choose to take the high road instead of the low road? What if I was really gold instead of, coal? And I think that's a very important application. I love that very much. Robin, I want to thank you for joining us on the air. I think what you offered our listeners were very palpable steps that they could take. I think you're onto something extremely important, your book on the Charisma Code. I think that we need to understand more the psyche of our soul and how we can amplify our presence, what I would always call our divinity on the planet, so it can really move things more powerfully. As we come to a close of our dialogue, leave us with your best vision for yourself, something that would definitely make America and the world a better place. And leave us again with your website so that our listeners can get a hold of you. And by the way, everyone who's listening, take the test. It's so cute and it's so cool. It's on your website.
Thank you, Sister Jenna. So the website, they both lead to the same place, and we've each mentioned both URLs. One of them that leads to the quiz is truecharisma.com, and the other one is my name, robin-sol.com, and that's ROBINSOL.com. And may it help each of our listeners engage in their own ability to amplify their communication powers. And as far as me, Sister Jenna, what I can personally bring to the world, I think it's what each of us can from my own perspective, again, my own scientist inside of me, which is that I seek every day to find that stillness that you alluded to, that beautiful stillness of trust, of trusting that through knowing my value and showing my value and courageously showing my value, trusting in it, and then courageously seeing others' value even when I run up against judgments towards others, that I am a scientist of that 3-part prescription right now, and I am exploring to see how valuable it actually is. And if it alludes to my own ability to be still, and if it brings me an ability to love more, then you know what? I'm doing a gosh darn good job. So I'm a scientist right now, and thank you for interviewing me in my laboratory. It's an honor to be in dialogue with you, Sister Jenna.
You are delightful, and I loved your balance of energy of in and out, and I think that's one of the ways that I would love to see the communication of spirituality and meditation being offered in our narrative, because I know in America we might go back to the days of Ram Dass, who I love, or, folks think in spirituality, especially in D.C., it's beads and tie-dye outfits, but it's more than that. It's being so in touch with your spirit that your spirit doesn't have to keep making mistakes to keep cleaning those mistakes up, but instead it could use your love and your experience and your wisdom and your amplification of life to keep moving a story higher, more abundant, more hopeful for our generation that's coming up behind us to feel like they have hope and they have a lot to look forward to. So I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Please come to visit us at the museum if you're ever in D.C. We would love to host you. I love your languaging.
I would love that. Absolutely, please.
So all the very best to you, my dear, and lots of good wishes and success.
As to you and your community at the museum and on air. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Wonderful tools that we were gifted by Robin today. I loved her steps to take, speak about what are the steps that you can look into to understand your charisma. Each person has a special kind of charisma. It won't be the same, but there are certain elements within your being that are just a little bit more dominant in their expression. So please go to Robin's website at robin-sol-lieberman and definitely visit her. Or you can just go to truecharisma.com, and that's truecharisma.com for more information. I want to thank you all for joining us. I know that everyone's been hanging in there. And again, if you'd like to see our full video of healing and reconciliation at Unity Church, please just go to America Meditating website. I think Antonia should be posting that up pretty soon. And any questions, if you need any sort of a hand to hold or just, a shoulder to cry on, just don't hesitate to shoot us an email or come by the Meditation Museum. We're always there for you. Remember, no one can take away your happiness unless you give them permission, which we're struggling with. And we are here to love each other the same, and that's a must. So let's keep the faith and know that things just might get better than we could ever imagine that they could ever be. After all, President-elect Trump is on his astrological reading, as the astrologers are saying. A king is born. This is his age of Jupiter. This is where everything opens up for him. This is where everything is good. So as is the king, so are the citizens. So let's see what emerges for us, okay? All the best, my friends, and take care. Be well. Here's Keep the Faith by Lucinda Drayton.
Everybody got somewhere.